Um, yes, I'm Marleen Stikker, and as I couldn't follow it fully in Portuguese, but I think I've been introduced as one of the founders of Picnic, and it's a great pleasure to be here. And I'm especially also very happy that this theme that we started in the last years of Picnic, redesigning growth, that became also the theme for Picnic here in 2016. And I don't know, are my slides there? Ah, look, there is something. Yes. So I've been asked to talk about this idea of redefining growth in the context of cities and citizens. Because these are our challenges, the planetary boundaries. We are moving beyond what we can use from the Earth. And I think many of us here who are related to creative industries, engineering, technology, consumer behavior, are realizing that this is the context that we are actually working in. But not only the Earth has its boundaries, it's also the societal challenges. There's a lot of injustice in the world, there's a lot of inequality, and although we are very advanced in our technologies, in our societies, we still didn't really solve many of these issues. So these have been also been described as the global goals for sustainable development, a combination of sustainability but also social challenges. And I think this is the context in that we have to redefine growth, and we need the people from the creative background, the artists, the designers, the people that know how to bring and how to organize behavior, and the people from technologies to merge and to come up with new ideas and concepts. Because there's a lot, what people tell us that technology will give the solution. There's a lot of solutionism. So we have a problem, then we have a technology. So we have big data, we have smart cities, we have deep learning, we have autonomous cars. A lot of this is happening as we speak, and it's being sort of presented as the solution for all our problems. But are these technologies not also part of the problem? Are they not also designed, and do they not work as if they're in the same model? So shouldn't we not question the model in which all these technologies and all these solutions are being presented? Because technologies are not neutral. They're technologies that sort of enclose ourselves and are extractive and using our data without our consent. And are technologies that are really enabling us. A lot of the sharing platforms are helping us to share resources, but there's also sharing platforms that actually extract value out of systems. So you can see that a lot of technologies that are distributed and open and based on commons, and there are technologies that are closed and based on competition. This is the architecture for the internet in 1964. They envisioned the idea of having a distributed network. So not a centralized, not a decentralized, but a distributed version where every node could contact each other, and there was no real centralized system. We see this also in the blockchain and in Bitcoin happening again. So systems that can communicate and organize themselves without a centralized organization. And that enables a lot of new players. So not just institutions, but a lot of citizens, movements, smart people working together, collaborating. So you see a sort of, instead of only a vertical innovation, you see a horizontal innovation. There's new ways of working and collaborating together. And I think Picnic is a place where all these people come together and learn from each other. Both people from institutions and academies and bigger companies, and also people coming from civic society, coming from creative backgrounds. A lot of it is that open is a driver. Open source, open technology, open knowledge, open models, open ways of collaborating, instead of enclosed systems. And there's also a lot of dangers again, because some of this beautiful open platform is also being monetized and milked by organizations that use centralized intelligence on top of this open structure. So can we trust all these new technologies? At the moment, we all, every day in the newspapers, there's something hacked, or something is being stolen, or something is being infringed or intercepted. This one, I think, was the most recent. Almost the whole internet went down because there was a DDoS attack on one of the servers, the DNS servers, done by Internet of Things, like not the servers and the computers that we know, but the routers and the little devices that we have. A lot of these new technologies and a lot of the Internet of Things is not secure. It's making it even more vulnerable. A lot of technologies is still there and not being used, so not intended. A lot of the bugs, a lot of the software is buggy. Mostly when we are going into when you go with your computer to a beamer, you're never sure that it will connect. We all have sort of like a hesitance, like, oh, it will not work. The moment that I stepped towards this little box, I already realized, I hope it works. And I think a lot of people behind there also realized, I hope it will work. So we have this relationship to technology that is buggy, that we never know if it really works. But there's also some more stranger things happening. Technology is being intercepted willfully by either governments or bigger companies. And this is, of course, a beautiful picture where from Rio, where there's this centralized system where we can oversee everything, like Big Brother is watching you. It's great if you want to plan big events, but we don't want this to happen in our private lives, that it looks into our private lives. But we are there at the moment already. So there are a lot of utopian ideas about technology, but there are also a lot of dystopian ideas of technology. And there are a lot of dilemmas in technology. Thinking about an autonomous car, it means that you have to write moral decisions into the code beforehand. So the question is, if the Tesla car has another morality than the Google car, what will happen when they meet? How do they negotiate each other about their issues? So what kind of strategies do we have to conquer and counterpart all these questions and deliberations? One of them would be rebel. So we set up this Facebook Liberation Army and organized the Facebook Farewell Party. And since then, I'm not part of Facebook anymore, and now I can't log on the Wi-Fi system here, which is a little problem for me. So I excluded myself from all my friends and all my colleagues. So it's a big step to make to leave Facebook. But there are a lot of good reasons to do it, because you feel that there's not a real ethical exchange with the data that you provide. You can also work on alternatives. This is the most recent one. It's Mastodon.social. It's a combination of Twitter and Facebook social system, but then open, distributed, and explicitly not using your data. So a lot of people are waiting for really good alternatives that are based on other business models than the ones that we use at the moment. You can also go in for a whole full-fledged process. This is a spin-off from the research of De Waag, which is Fairphone, where we created a telephone, which is a mobile phone, a smartphone, which addresses the conflict minerals that are in phones, the repairability, the working conditions in which they're being produced. And so the whole activity of making this phone is being transparent of every step in the chain of producing a smartphone. We also start a prevention of creating data, which is another approach. Let's not create so much data, which is totally against the odds and against the process of big data. And this is a DAOs, which will be a little box you can put in between your house and the bigger internet to disconnect yourself. So you use the internet, but you don't give everything to the internet. All kind of strategies. You can also educate. And this starts where, if you start with kids, you will have smart citizens in the end. The Smart Kids Lab is learning children to measure their own environments, make their own sensors and own kits. Learning this at school, but also in their own, with their families. Make them smart about their environment and make them sort of part of this technology development. Another step is making a citizens lab, involving citizens to this kind of questions. This is somebody who wants to measure the air quality by using plants and a smart citizens kit. This is collaboration worldwide at the moment with Barcelona and other places. Actually, we did a very interesting workshop here together with the European Design Center, European International Design Center here in Rio, together with the consulate of the Netherlands during the presidency. And this kind of things you can address. You can address beach erosion, water quality, mapping your environment, dealing with plastics and the idea of how to solve those problems, traffic and noise around your own environment, social cohesion. So there are many, many ways to involve smart citizens into the solutions and the questions of the cities. And I think only resilient cities can only exist when they rely on smart citizens and not on the technologies. If we don't open these technologies, we don't really understand our surroundings anymore. And that makes us all sort of, again, a scholar, because many, many people have felt that they can sort of leave the technologies and do it for them, but really have to engage in shaping these technologies again. A project where it all comes together is Fab City. There's a whole idea that you bring this new citizenships and active participation together with this distributed open technologies. And the goal is to have a globally connected and locally self-sufficient cities. And this is we have 37 years still left. I think there are a lot of ways when the boundaries will really hit us. But this is a challenge, and these cities have signed up to the challenge. So Amsterdam signed up in 2016. It started all in Barcelona. And you see that all kind of fab labs and makerspaces are part of this process. It actually relies on the makerspaces and the fab labs that are part of this new policies for cities. So there is some room here left for Rio. So I want to end with inviting you to become part of Fab City. And maybe that could be one of the results of this coming 3 days. Thank you very much.